Over the last few years in the West, there's been a lot of talk about relationships and how they've gone off a cliff. We've seen the rise of men just checking out and refusing to participate. I myself became aware of the MGTOW movement about 6 years ago. Men going their own way. That has morphed into the so-called passport bros movement. I didn't think MGTOW would be for everyone because men have needs. I actually don't know why it took so long for men to get a clue about this. Perhaps because there is a certain arrogance in the West, especially in America, that the rest of the world is this third world hellscape on par with something you might see in a dystopian movie. I have talked to many people in America who still think the women in these countries are these dirty, desperate, uneducated peasants who make their living stealing and trading sexual favors. I find the disdain for these people really distasteful. The vitriol from men who seek out these women is getting louder and more contemptuous. If you do a search for MGTOW on this platform, hundreds, maybe thousands of videos will appear. I must have watched a few hundred myself. While many presenters make good points, there seems to be very few, if any, talking about why and who is behind all of this. This is important because you can't treat a disease when you don't know the cause. It is a disease. We are watching the very downfall of Western society right in front of our eyes. It mirrors the collapse of past societies as well, like the USSR, Rome, the British Empire, ancient Greece, Egypt, Babylon, and Sodom and Gomorrah. The parallels are stark, direct, and we are seeing the same things here and now. Massive debt, out of control corruption, crumbling infrastructure, rising crime, dubious elections, apathy, perversion, and total and complete moral decay. Many people may scoff and say morality doesn't really matter or it's all relative, but they are wrong. Every one of these societies that I named were neck deep in moral decay before their collapse. There has to be a series of agreed upon social norms for a society to function. If everyone is allowed to make up their own rules, then you'll eventually won't like the results. Hiding in your house hoping the decay won't touch you will only work until someone is climbing through your window because they decided they like your flat screen TV. The most important thing that I want to point out today is this meme that is being pushed heavily by Western women lately. The 3 sixes, in response to Western men's complaints that women will not submit anymore. A 6-figure salary, 6 feet in height, and at least a 6-inch penis is supposed to be the price for their submission. Let me put these talking points to bed at once. The 3 sixes is a lie. If you don't believe it, ask 2 of the richest men in the world, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. Both men were divorced in recent years, and both had to turn over tens of billions of their personal fortunes to women who woke up one day and decided they weren't happy. If they couldn't get submission, then good luck to you if you think you will. In 7 of the last 12 years, I made over 150,000 US dollars, and I had zero luck dating and impressing women, and I drive a high-end luxury car. About the only responses I got from women, young and old, pretty and not so pretty, was either indifference or hostility. How dare this man that I don't want be able to drive this nice car? It confuses me because there is no shortage of so-called coaches on this platform who will tell you that if you become the man, then you will have to beat these women off with a stick. It's a lie. These men are grifters, and you shouldn't listen to them. The other thing I wanted to point out that no one seems to notice is what the 666 represents, and it's no accident or coincidence. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation 13:18. Western values are supposed to be based on Christian virtues, and no one seems to have noticed this or made a point about this. Most of the presenters on this platform are Americans, and America is supposed to be the most Christian country on earth, but no one seems to have noticed this. I'm not a theologian or a biblical scholar, but I have read the Old Testament cover to cover twice in my life. If you do the research, it clearly shows that there is a massive increase of women practicing witchcraft in the West. They would try to deny what they are doing is evil by calling it other things like white magic or Wicca or hoodoo, but the Bible clearly states that if it is not of God, then it is of the devil. That also covers what turns off many men as well: tattoos and piercings. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print or tattoo any markings upon you. I am the Lord. Leviticus 19:28. You shouldn't walk away from these women. You should run. Nothing these women say should be listened to, because they have the mark of their true father and they speak his truth. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out his desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, refusing to uphold the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language because he is a liar and the father of lies. John 8:44. The West isn't just collapsing, it's a controlled demolition being orchestrated by globalists who despise free thought and prosperity for anyone but themselves. Once upon a time, you had to search the darkest recesses of the deep web to find people who knew the truth. Now they flaunt their power and tell you in public forums, you will own nothing and you will be happy. When men were still men, in a response to such a threat, they would gear up and get ready for a fight. But today's feminized men debate whether they should date a tranny and update their Facebook status. I seriously wonder what the hell it will take for men to act before we are all dragged away to a black site for orderly disposal. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support our work, please check out our Patreon or send a Cash App donation. Thanks for watching.
Students at Harvard now want to set up kind of re-education camps, and moral rehabilitation centers and institutions for vetting people who had the chutzpah to work in the Trump administration.